This version of It's Eric Nagel has been modified from its original broadcast. Content has been edited to fit this platform.
Meet me at the con.
It's Comic-Con, you idiot. We're going to the Javits Center.
It's Eric Nagel. It starts now.
Ladies and gentlemen of the universe, the next voice you hear, it's Eric Nagel.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the New York Comic Con 2024 edition of It's Eric Nagel. I am Eric Nagel, and over there, who didn't go, is Jordan.
Oh, that's not a good way to start this off. No, I feel bad. Hi, everybody.
You were invited. But
I was invited. I had credentials and everything. I felt important.
But
I had other plans.
Did not work out that way for him. Oh, well. Anyway, it's the New York Comic Con show. It's a little bit different than how we do the regular show, mainly because color scheme, look at all this, and logos everywhere. We are fully into visual graffiti of branding and selling out for these kinds of programs. There is no integrity to be had here, folks.
I've lost that a long time ago.
I'm losing it recently over time. I'm learning. I'm learning to sell out. No more buying it.
No.
I am just
I was going to say you bought
it. Correct. All right. So on this show, we are at, we're here in New York, but for the interviews, we were on the floor and in the press rooms for the New York Comic Con 2024 at the Jacob Javits Center, located on the west side of Manhattan.
Now, is this the normal meeting spot for New York Comic Con? Like, this is how they do it every year? There's no, like, oh, we're going to do it at Madison Square Garden or anywhere other venues. It's usually Javits Center.
Yeah, it's always there.
Okay.
They have external outlets that people have activations and specialty events that aren't at the Javits Center. So you got to travel around Manhattan a little bit to different things.
Right.
Considering how most cities are, it's not that big of an inconvenience to hop on a cab, hop on the subway, and go over several blocks to a different location for some kind of a special event. Where, you know, you have cities like Houston where it's like, oh, that thing is about 12 miles away. What?
Right.
It's still the city? Yeah, it's about 12 miles away.
Or even
right,
San Diego Comic Con. Most of everything that San Diego Comic Con usually kind of sticks to that downtown San Diego area, right?
San Diego's huge, but they know to keep it all right there because people are not going to walk further than maybe 10 blocks. If it's more than 10 blocks, they'll be like, it's not worth my time.
Exactly.
Leaving there. So we were there. A lot of fun was being had. The energy better than last year, but it still felt kind of humdrum in a way. You know, you're walking around there, and it's like, all right, there's a lot of things here. Funko was back. They had a big pavilion there in a different location. They bought up the area that used to be Toy Tokyo, which is the corner when you walk in. It was prime real estate, and so they got that whole thing there. And One Piece, the company that owns One Piece, had a giant demonstration area in the center of the floor. Marvel was there. They had a lot of big reveals throughout the con that showed up. Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio showed up unannounced.
Which I definitely didn't expect that. Because you and I were reviewing like guest lists and seeing who was announced and what kind of panels were coming up. And that was far off my radar. I didn't think that was going to be happening.
The lady who plays Blind Al in Deadpool,
I like her,
made a surprise appearance. People were going nuts for her. Her name
is Leslie Uggams, which is, I don't know why I know that, but yeah.
All right, there you go.
Kind of a cool name.
Or the 90s. But she was out there, people going nuts for it. They had panels. They had other things going on. So Marvel had a big presence there. What else was going on? DC had a lot of artwork, banners, things promoting the new property that's coming out in December, right?
Creature Commandos, I believe, is either late November or sometime in December, but it is this year, 2020.
And James Gunn showed up for a panel, sneak preview, I guess, of what that series is going to entail. So there was that. There was the 25th anniversary of SpongeBob was a big presence, both outside and inside the pavilion. They bought up a side of a building right outside the Javits Center and put SpongeBob 25 stuff.
Now, is that why McDonald's had such a high presence? Oh, not McDonald's.
Wendy's.
Oh, Wendy's. Did Wendy's have a presence, or was it just the McDonald's stuff?
No, McDonald's had a big presence.
Right.
Which I'll show you the photos in that in a little bit. Wendy's is the one doing the official SpongeBob thing with the Krabby Patty. You can get the Krabby Patty.
Right.
I went and tried this. It's a Dave's single, just with some kind of McDonald's knockoff sauce on it. And the dessert drink, if you want, is it's almost like their version of a Dole Whip. It's pineapple frozen, mixed all up together.
Gotcha.
Was fine. Nothing really to brag about. And there was nothing to show that it was a SpongeBob meal other than one sign inside the Wendy's that said it was a SpongeBob Krabby Patty meal. Yeah. You get the food. There's no SpongeBob placemat on the tray. There's no SpongeBob
really
wrapping box for the burger. There's nothing on the cup for the pineapple. What do they call their things? Frosty, the pineapple Frosty stuff. Nothing. Hey, we're doing this. There's a sign, and then everything just looks like regular food.
That's really weird. The only reason I knew about it is I think I had a friend of mine tell me that they went and got it. I was like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And then because the kid is all into, everything YouTube, they've been heavily advertising this on YouTube. And I'm like, I wouldn't know. And it didn't appeal to me. The thing I did try though, since we were talking about McDonald's, is I did go out of my way, even after you told me it was gross, and had the chicken Big Mac.
Oh, you did?
A couple nights ago. Yeah.
All right, let's talk about that in the next thing, because I got to pull up the photos and stuff from the McDonald's activation that was there. But let's talk about what we have on the show here for you. We've got the cast of this Britbox series. It was in conjunction with ITV, which is a British network. I'm sure a lot of you people know what that is. If you don't, it's a British television network, just like NBC, ABC. ITV is one over there, and they put out a lot of good programming that rivals the BBC programming.
Right.
And this was a ITV series first. So it came and went on ITV. It broadcast in the UK. Now it partnered with Britbox, which if you're not familiar with that, you should get familiar with that, because Britbox is the way for Americans, I think Canadians too, to watch all the great British programming that ever was that's not available here anywhere else. It's
good is that Britbox is available through Amazon. You can go in and add it to one of your channels, because during I think a couple months ago, I had shown you that I had subscribed to it for it was like $1 a month for 2 months. It was like a special. I'd let it run. It's just worth having. I enjoy all the stuff that's on it.
Right.
So that and Acorn, I think, is the other one.
Acorn TV
is my
that's
favorite.
The other one that I have. Yes. But we're not talking about them because they did not have a presence nor did anything for us while we were at New York Comic Con.
All of it.
So Britbox is who we are talking about, and they have a mini series called Passanger. And it's not quite terror. It's not quite horror. It's a lot of suspense and mystery. And it stars Wunmi Masoka. Do you know who that is?
African-American woman, but I don't know if I've recognized her from much of anything else.
She's B-15 in Loki and Deadpool and Wolverine.
Is that who it? Okay.
She's the one that takes over the Time Authority or whatever it's called.
She looked different in a picture when I looked her up. I was like, okay.
Yep. That's her.
She's pretty good.
She's there. A gentleman named Barry Sloan. He's been in a lot of different properties, but you may know him as the prodigal in The Sandman.
Oh yeah, I love that show.
So he's in there. He's in this as well. And Andrew Buchan, who was the brother to Camilla Parker Bowles in The Crown.
Right.
And Broadchurch. He was in Broadchurch too. He was prominent there. The British one, not the American one. And this was his first time with his own writing creation series. So we got to talk to them. So let's go over now to the Britbox press area and check out everything we can for Passanger. The Passanger press conference here for Britbox at New York Comic Con. We're here with Wunmi Masoka. You know her from Lovecraft Country, a couple episodes in Black Mirror. Maybe you've heard of a thing called Loki or Wolverine and Deadpool. That movie came out. It's only $1 billion movie for $1 billion franchise. That's got to feel really cool to have that to your credits, right?
That was cool. I mean, I have no idea what these things opening weekend numbers, those things, that doesn't really register to me.
Right.
But then getting all the calls like, this is the biggest movie of the summer or the biggest Marvel, I'm like, oh,
it's the biggest R-rated movie of all time.
Wow.
And I gotta admit, in the theater, there was a huge pop when you showed up on the screen. Everyone like, oh my God!
Yay.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so glad.
So you are so beloved with the Marvel Universe and all of that. And now another chance for you to be even more beloved with not just the American audience through Britbox, but all around the world. Because this show already aired in the UK, but it's coming here to the United States. It's available right now on Britbox. Passenger. You play a police officer, but it's like a fish out of water in this small town. Like, they all grew up together. They have all their nuances and idiosyncrasies, and then you even explained, like, this is not where you saw your life. You showed up here for a different reason, and now where your life is totally different. And you see everything that's going on in this town that everybody else doesn't recognize.
Yeah, she's definitely like, I think that's something that I feel like a lot of people feel, even if you're from there. Do you belong there? And, Nish is from there. Does he belong there? Eddie's from there. Does he feel like he belongs there? Katie Wells, all she wants to do is leave.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, I think that feeling of belonging it can actually feel like oppressive and like a prison of, like, because you feel like you have to do something to fit in, but then everyone's wearing the mask or that they've been assigned. And actually, that's harder than just being yourself.
Yeah, you're thinking like, well, they all know each other, they've all grew up together, but I want to belong to that. And then you, like you were saying, their masks come off and you realize they don't even know where they fit into their own world, and they've been there the entire time.
They've been conditioned too. They're a victim of this like idea of how you should be in Cheddar and who you should be and who belongs and how, like I really love Katie Wells's journey and her relationship with her parents, and it's really the fear of like who am I, and am I free to be that person? And some people want to break out of that, and some people actually don't. Like, I don't think Rhea really wants to really look herself in the eye and see what she doesn't want to find her purpose. She doesn't want to find her freedom. She's too scared, because then she'll be a small fish in a big pond and having to like figure it out, where she prefers being like this woman who moved up from London.
Very humdrum, don't rock the boat.
Yeah. She prefers to be the person who's like, I see you, rather than I see me. I see me as far scarier than I see you.
What's also interesting is, for as much as she's resisting and not wanting to change a lot of things, everything keeps happening around her, and she keeps becoming the only one that's aware of certain things. And you have to question it to your boss in the police department, your coworkers. And you're like, you don't think this is weird? This town has more than finding out who stole your recycling can.
Right.
And then you're the one like, I don't want to be doing this. Why can't somebody else do this? But because you see everything, you're the one that has to do everything.
Yeah. I think she's
begrudgingly leading the charge on solving this mystery of what's going on.
But I do feel like what is amazing about the way that Andy has written this is that everything and everyone that we meet in Cheddar has a purpose, whether or not it's
missing people.
There is
everything's going missing. Cars.
There's a story.
Yeah.
There's a story there. They all have a journey, and I love that about the show, because nothing is superfluous, and even though she doesn't know what it is, she feels it. Rhea feels it. There's something here, and I just need to figure out what it is.
You had a line that was really funny. It's like, potholes just don't show up out of nowhere, and steer don't just skin themselves and explode laying on the street. Yeah. And everyone else is just acting like, oh, that happens all the time. It's no big deal. And you're like, what are you all doing? When was the last
time you saw a deer in 20 pieces?
Yeah.
Like, that's not normal.
No, it's when a semi-truck hits it at 80 miles an hour on a highway. It's not in a small country town on a road where it's just everything is ripped apart. It's like something did that. We need to figure out what that is. Check out The Passenger on Britbox here in the United States and also in Canada there. Quick sidebar. Any more plans for you in the MCU or no?
Oh, I don't know.
Don't know.
I wish they'd tell me.
Everyone, and no one ever knows until the last moment. Like, hey, guess what? You're in this thing. Okay, I'll drop everything.
Yeah,
and go
exactly.
do that. Thank you so much for your
Thank
time,
you.
and best of luck with the show.
Thank you so much.
We are in the press room for Passanger, the ITV property that is now available on Britbox. For all of you here in the United States who might be Anglophiles like myself, can't get enough of British programming, and they don't air enough of it in the United States. But
Correct.
That's the beauty about streaming services. You don't need the networks and the TV anymore because it's all right there. And no matter where you are in the world, now everybody gets to share it together. A global experience like it should be.
Agreed, and Britbox has been great for that. You know, there's certain, we'd always have some stuff that would be exported from Britain, but it'd usually be of a similar ilk, I would say. So to get depictions of the north of England specifically as a northerner, unapologetic with that accent, and especially this depiction of a beautiful green snow-covered rolling hills of northern Yorkshire.
Yeah.
It's a nice something for us to export.
We are talking with Barry Sloan, who plays Eddie Wells on Passenger. For the audience out there, he looks familiar. I kind of know him from somewhere. Well, he's been through a few famous properties here in the United States. I mean, worldwide, but for here in the United States. You were on Longmire.
Yep.
And you do a lot of video game work.
I do, yeah. Been doing that for a while now.
So everybody who's up late at night streaming on Twitch and you're playing Call of Duty in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah,
1, 2,
you
3,
might recognize this voice.
Captain John
Coming
Pierce.
at you, yeah.
So you're screaming at him for yelling at you, and you're screaming at the people
Not my fault.
who are camping
Shoot
and
better.
sniping you, and you can't even complete the mission. So
Yeah,
of course
exactly.
you know him here. This is a great opportunity for you because you're known for your acting and your voice work.
Yep.
But this is your debut as far as like a sci-fi kind of thing, a thriller kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I did a Steven Spielberg thing a few years back on ABC in about 17, 18, called The Whispers with Lily Rabe and Milo Ventimiglia. Really interesting property, but so I've dipped my toes in the sci-fi water.
Okay.
But I would say the show was more not supernatural. I would say it was more unnatural. What attracted me to it was taking ordinary people and putting them into an extraordinary situation. So it's like when a community has a playbook for the odd, but none of the answers. It's like, okay, how do we fix this?
Right.
And fear, like how people deal with fear as a community. On the macro, this town of Cheddar Vale, but on the micro or on the macro, like how we deal with it as citizens of the world. Sometimes we feel like something's going on to the right of us, at the left of us, but we assume like either it'll fix itself or somebody else will fix it. Well, probably as a one, we should do it together.
Right.
And that's what this show shows. We're better as a group than divided.
So you're spoken of, but not seen much at the very beginning of this series here, and then all of a sudden we find out your backstory is that you were sentenced to prison for 10 years, got out in 5 for good behavior. Then you make your debut on the show. You're seen. You return to your family. First thing I noticed as you were standing there at the door, how long does it take to do all that tattoo work on you, on your neck?
Took a while. Yeah. I mean, I really enjoyed the design of this guy. When I sat down with the producers and the costume and hair and makeup, I really wanted to pay homage to bad boys of any generation and ilk, and I didn't really want to place him in time, so I kind of wanted to feel like he was 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000 emo right the way through. So
You're a greaser through all time.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Like
It's
if you
just
weren't
that-
wearing the jacket, you'd have the pack of cigarettes rolled up in your sleeve, kind of.
Well, I did actually have the pack of cigarettes rolled up in my sleeve as well at one point. Yeah.
So
for
what was
sure.
the continuity like? Because they put that on you all the time.
Yeah,
Is it stencils, or are they drawing off pictures?
It was a full-on stuck-on tattoo. It just depended on what part of me was showing at
Right.
different points. We'd expose more and more. So I think there's one scene later on where you see the whole body and there's more. I had ideas for even more. But,
You're saying that a lot of the show and a lot of the town a lot of the concept is based on fear. It's also based on the fact that it seems to be that people can't remember things. People forget, whether it's fear, trauma. When stuff blocks out in your head and then you have to go through therapy and everything, all of a sudden it comes out.
Yeah.
We don't. I've only seen a couple of the episodes so far, so I don't know how the rest of it goes.
Yeah.
But your story is you don't know what happened. Everybody else seems to know what happened to you. The town is upset with you. Your family's upset. You thought the family was going to be happy to see you. You find out your family's upset with you.
Yeah.
And you're standing there and you have to admit, which was very difficult for a guy to admit. It's like, I don't know. I don't
know what
remember.
went on. Well, it's like the fear of you know, when you're called a monster or accused of a heinous crime of this nature that he has, and you can't remember that, it's like, is that me?
Yeah.
You know, am I capable of this that I am being accused? You know, I think we all wonder if, you know, God, could I do that? It's like if you woke up and someone told you you'd done something, like, it doesn't seem like me.
Because it's hard, in today's day and age, with everybody having a phone, there's security cameras everywhere. There's got to, anytime something happens in the world, they go check CCTV, check Twitter. Somebody probably posted a video or photo, so you know what in there. And in this kind of situation, at one point, I had to go back and check. I go, what time period is this in? Because I wasn't seeing the cell phone until later.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, there's no cameras anywhere. There's none of this. Nobody's remembering anything. And then you go, oh, it's present day. And you go, to get away with that in present day where you don't remember, nobody's seen anything, and you go, that doesn't happen anymore.
No,
that's a time that we don't live in anymore.
Well, that's another interesting element of Chad the Vale, you know.
Also, the name's fun too, because hearing everybody saying, it's like, wow, that sounds so elegant. And then you look it up, and in America, it's Cheddarvale, and you're like, what? That's such a weird name for a place. But they're all thinking it's all eloquent. And you get, like you said, Yorkshire countryside and all that beautiful area.
I'm very proud. I'm very proud of what we have in Cheddar.
How cold was it? Because a lot of winter shots there.
It's very cold.
Yeah.
It's chilling north wind doth blow in the north. But, you know, we're all right. You don't moan about it. We got snowed out a couple of times. We had to, you know, stop filming. Because certain days we didn't need the snow.
Yeah.
You know, it's not in the script. Stop snowing.
There's a lot of stuff involved in this show that, you know, I mean, we can't even discuss because just the slightest wrong turn will give something major away with this. What can we talk about involving, I mean, that we already said with Eddie? He's out of prison. He's got out for good behavior. The town wants him dead. His family's not happy with him, and he doesn't seem to remember anything that's happened.
It's just interesting watching this character unravel, really, you know, seeing what's underneath what we... Based on your first opinions, you know, how wrong can you be or how right can you be? You know, that's what's going to be interesting about him, you know. It's not your normal greaser, let's put it that way.
Yeah. There was a scene where it wasn't overly important to a lot of the stories going along, but you pull up to this garage and the guy throws you a bunch of tools and said you're going to need this stuff here. So does Eddie have this kind of background? Was he a mechanic?
That was his garage. That was his garage.
That was his. Okay.
Yeah. That guy now who is running it kind of took it on himself to start running the garage after he was put in prison.
Right.
So he's come back thinking I can have a semblance of happiness. You know, it's actually a little detail. If you watch back, you'll see like Eddie's turned up with his work cloth in his jean pocket. Because he's that excited to get back to work, and then he's told he can't. So it's another thing that is just sadness for him.
Yeah, that's got to be insane too.
We'll never show that to him, but he's heartbroken with that moment.
If you were away in prison, or if you came out of a coma and you just expect to pick up your life where you left off, and everything else is moved on, and you're not allowed to, and you're just trying to find your way of like, well, what do I do now?
He's having to ask his wife for cash, you know, to buy cigarettes or whatever. It's like he's back to being a child, you know.
Well, it's 6 episodes. It's out now, right, on Britbox.
This evening.
Right now as we're doing this. So as you're hearing this, yes, it's already out. If you haven't subscribed already to Britbox, what are you doing? Go over there and do that. I've been over there. I've talked about Britbox for years. I was a big fan of like Alan Partridge stuff.
Yeah, I just said that before. That's one of my favorite things.
They used to have Uncle was it Uncle Ted? Father Ted, and then that disappeared. So I'm waiting for that to come back.
I used to watch Father Ted with my buddies on Friday nights in the UK in 1995-6. It was like a thing we used to do. It was fun.
I had a grandfather who used to, for years he would say this line. I had no idea what it was.
Feck off.
Feck off cup. Yeah, like that. And I'm like, what? I don't know what that means. And I got older, and then I had a grandmother that used to watch Keeping Up. Is it Keeping Up Appearances with the Bucket Lady?
Yeah, Mrs. Buckets, yeah.
All good.
It was a pleasure. Love it.
We're here with Andrew Buchan. You know him from Broadchurch. You know him from The Crown, Carnival Row, and another gentleman who's been in a whole series of video games. A lot of you British guys show up in every popular video game that's out there right now. Whether you're being British or whether you're being American, you guys are dominating the industry right now as far as voiceover work for video games.
Well, good. You're referring to years ago. I played.
You were in Fable 3, Fable the Journal.
I was the Smurfs on Fable. That's right. That's right.
The Last Story, Warhammer 40,000, Space Marine. You were in a lot of stuff.
Yeah, well, there we go. Yeah,
it's great work if you can get it. You know, just sit there for a couple hours banging out a script, and then all of a sudden you're seeing memes and clips of your voice. people getting irate on Twitch, screaming because something that your character did in the game. It's fun to see all of that stuff. This is your first venture into creating and writing a show.
That's it.
You've been part of a lot of popular properties, and now you get this chance to do your own thing here. I noticed a lot of meta mentions in there, a lot of meta influences that you were talking about there. One, you made a mention of Twin Peaks. I'm a big Twin Peaks fan.
Yeah.
And you had a clip in there where somebody said, "This isn't Twin Peaks." And I was like, but it kind of is a little bit. Were you a big Twin Peaks fan?
I've never watched it.
Really?
I've never watched it, embarrassingly.
Wow.
But we did put in a lot of references like that, or this isn't Broadchurch, or, to just to be daft and be silly, really, just to kind of play with it and have fun with it and reverse.
Well, that was my next
it.
thing on there, is that Broadchurch got a mention in there, which is also very meta.
We were just being silly.
This show, I was trying to figure out what it feels like. It feels like it could be Fargo. Have you ever seen that movie?
Yes.
That whole same scenario where involving a police department, mysteries, murders, things, all that going on there. It felt very similar to that. Were any of these influences for it?
So it is in no way like Broadchurch, I'd say that. My biggest influences, I would say, were definitely Fargo. Ben Mendelsohn's The Outsider, I don't know if you call it that, with Jason Bateman in it.
Yes.
True Detective, The OA, Stranger Things. All those shows that kind of lure us into a false sense of familiar and then hit us with something unknown. Like shows that kind of take something traditional and then shake it or oddify it. So personally, I would say the final scene in the last season of Fargo, where that thing, person, thing, human thing, whatever he is, played masterfully by Sam Spruell, goes into that couple's house. Nobody knows what century he was born in, never mind what decade, and they invite him to stay for dinner and have waffles or whatever it is. So the juxtaposition of them and him in that kind of like dinner setting, I just thought was masterful. So yeah, I've been wholeheartedly 100% influenced by shows like that.
The show came out on ITV already. It already aired.
Yeah.
But here in the United States, we're getting it on Britbox. And going online and reading up on it, it's amazing the job that nobody's really spoiled anything. They're talking about the show, but going through it, it's like there's no spoilers. And that doesn't happen nowadays, because everybody's quick to go to a movie like the first day it comes out, and they're taking video and throwing it up on their Facebook and their social media and stuff. And this show has been out already. It already broadcast over there. And like everyone's being really cool about it. Like they're not revealing anything.
I can't. I don't have an answer for that. I can't explain that. But
sure. So it's 6 episodes. It's a mystery. Part of the mystery, I like that it feels a bit like The Thing. It's what you don't see and what you don't hear and what you don't know is more terrifying than what you could put up in front of the screen.
That's exactly it. Yeah.
And that I always love that stuff. When certain movies will have something, and then at the end it's kind of rubbery or it's kind of practical effects, and you go,
disappointing.
I mean, it's okay, but it's not what I was thinking. And the fact that you're just hearing some gurgling and not seeing anything happening, I'm like, that's the best, because now you're just like, what the hell is going on here? And what's in your head is going to be worse than what they could put out.
Far worse. Yeah,
it's 6 episodes. Is there any plans to maybe continue down the line?
It's a limited series, but that isn't to say that I don't have an entire journey mapped out in my head. But yeah, we're promoting it as a limited series.
Okay, fantastic. Andrew Buchan, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it. Go see Passenger. It's available on Britbox here in the United States. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.
Comic-Con.
Moving on with our New York Comic-Con 2024 special. Eric and Jordan here with you. We had mentioned in the last segment that McDonald's thing that was going on at Comic-Con. And we had also mentioned that it was the 25th anniversary of SpongeBob. So you think since Wendy's had the deal with SpongeBob to do the Krabby Patties, they would do something. They'd have some sort of presence there. They were not there at all.
It seems like a missed opportunity.
McDonald's had their own little carnival land set up and was giving away free chicken Big Macs and small fries. Okay. So if you got a ticket to get online, you got to go through the whole activation, and then you got to go online and get food too. So that was their way of doing things. But again, SpongeBob, look at this.
I mean, that's a pretty big.
You walk in, Nickelodeon's presence right there, giant thing for SpongeBob 25 and Nickelodeon right there. You think Wendy's would have partnered with this, but alas, they did not. All right, so here's the McDonald's thing, and I want to show you this too. Across the street, look at the big SpongeBob stuff that's there.
Well, at least they still got in somehow.
Yes, that was very clever with Nickelodeon to have it right there. But here's McDonald's. Here's part of the carnival area that they have. So this line in front of you is where people were. It had the what were they called? The people mover lines or the common feeder lines. You know, where they zigzag.
Oh yeah, the queue, where all the stanchions were. They just kind of rope you through.
Right. So you're on this line. There's carnival games you can play to win McDonald's prizes, and then in the back there is some kind of like heavenly scene with Big Macs falling from the sky, and you get to do a photo op. And then you go and you get your food. So these are the machines. You walk over there, the old claw machines.
Well, that's cool. They got some of the McDonald's Funko that have come out.
Yeah, you got the McDonald's Funkos. You had little koozie things. You had phone cases, other kinds of little knickknacks and clothing all in there if you could do that. So there's one. And then there was this one here too.
Oh, look, it's Birdie.
Right. So you can go there and see that. Let's see where else. I thought I'm missing a few photos here. Hold on one second. 1, 3, 4. Where'd the rest of my photos go? All right. Let's see if we can try to load them again. I apologize for that. 2, 5, and 6 are missing. Okay. Sorry, folks. This is great for radio. Even better for the visual element.
Look, at least they know that not only during the live sessions that we have this kind of stuff,
right?
Even anything pre-recorded, still,
we're gonna leave it in here because why not? All right, so here's the other photo. So here's a better photo of the line. So you can see you come in through the right and you zigzag. You go and you play all the games. You zigzag again to each game, and then at the end you go in the back there to get your photo op, and then off to the right. It's closed in this photo, but they opened it up right as I was walking over. For this whole truck, there was a mini kitchen. So they had one truck next to them had all the food, and this truck there was the kitchen that they could cook everything in. So you go through.
This just goes to show that people will wait online
for anything.
Like I can't imagine spending my time and money going to New York Comic Con and decided to spend an hour and a half to get a free chicken Big Mac.
Right. So you go through the lines, you play all the games. This is the photo opportunity area. You stand behind these clouds where Big Macs are falling through the heavens. Such a weird thing. So you get that photo done. Then you go over to the truck here. And you can see they have a fry machine, they have a grill, and they're making, sorry, not a grill. It's all fried because it's the chicken Big Mac, not the beef. So they have the fryers going all over the place for the fries and the chicken Big Macs. And you just, once you're done, they hand you a little bag. You got a chicken Big Mac and you got a French fry. And then this nice man was waving you goodbye and saying, thank you for coming to McDonald's. It was a very well planned out and executed activation by McDonald's at New York Comic Con.
Right.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. The chicken Big Mac, sorry, is not good.
Oh, it's terrible.
Everything else there was enjoyable.
I didn't want to believe you because, to be honest with you, like I was like, all right, I'll try it out. It's not good. It smelled weird, and the consistency of the chicken felt off. It almost felt like they wanted to try to make a bigger chicken McNugget, so it had kind of the flavor of the nugget, but none of the crispiness. It didn't taste like the old chicken patty. Didn't taste like the spicy chicken patty. It was disappointing.
Yeah.
And I should have known better. You did say it was not good, but
well,
I don't like you enough to take your opinion, so I gotta try myself.
I mean, join the club. That's the rest of the world with all of this. Nobody listens to my opinions, and then all of a sudden, when it's true, they go, "Oh yeah, right. Well, I guess E-Rock was right," and then they just don't acknowledge it. So I don't get the credit when I am right, and I get all the hate for when whatever. It's another thing. So let's move on to another guest that I met. Is an up-and-coming artist, even though she's been doing this for a while, but she just put out her album back in May of this year called Trashumanism, and it's a weird cyberpunk meets Nine Inch Nails kind of feel to everything that she does. Her artist name is La Destroy. which stands for in French, The Destroy. So she came there. She was not only promoting her album, but she took it a step further and had a full graphic novel made.
That's cool.
Wait,
just for the album?
Yeah, hold on one second. Let me go grab it here. Okay, here it is. Magic of editing, folks. So she managed to collaborate with some artists and put out a full graphic novel telling the story of her album. Look at this thing, right?
That is pretty cool. Hardcover.
That's my skull. Yeah, so you can hear how hard it is right there in front of the mic. Full solid
too.
Yeah, full solid book. Look at that.
That's impressive.
Let's open up a little bit. Look at the artwork.
Oh, that's yeah. Yeah, that's pretty impressive. I gotta say, like I am familiar with her work. I believe she was on, I think, some of the Cyberpunk, the video game soundtrack.
Well, we're going to get to that in just a second. But
okay.
I mean, look, it's got everything you want. It's got sci-fi. It's got cyberpunk. It's got sexiness going on there if you need that in your storytelling. Oh, look, some nudity.
Hey,
this has got it all.
It's got everything you need.
The book, it's a companion piece to the album.
Now, that is like a sold separately sort of thing, right? There's like a box set or something that we can get. Well, we'll probably check the website.
We could check her website, but I know the book just came out in time for Comic-Con, so we got a chance to talk to her about the book. And also, so she was nice enough to give me this book, and she signed it for me.
Oh, very nice.
Check this out. It's the album in cassette form.
I mean, can't beat that. We've got things like Aliens coming out on VHS. A lot of people are putting cassettes out. That's pretty cool. God, I haven't got a cassette in forever.
Day when you remember you used to pull the sleeve out there and you would unfold it to read the lyrics or see artwork and stuff in there, but you got that. This is the insert for it.
Pretty impressive.
Look at it. Hot pink tape.
Now, back when we went to San Diego for the radio conference, they were giving away. They had a giveaway for an old Sony Walkman tape player, and that brought me back. So the fact that people are kind of embracing some of the older nostalgic technology.
They were giving away the old yellow, the shock resistant Shockmaster, whatever it was called, for the cassette player and the CD player. But they were also, it was TM Studios. It's a company that does jingles and production and stuff for radio programming, TV, things like that. They also put out their version of a cassette tape, which is their demo showing you what the company can do. But it's not about them right now. It's about Le Destroy and Trashumanism.
Very cool.
So we got a chance to go and talk to her. Thank you very much to our friends over at the Syndicate who hooked this up for us. Yes, she was part of Cyberpunk 2077. She's on, they call them like radio volumes 1 and 2. She has a song called Pain, which the gamer community knows.
Right.
And if you're into industrial music and avant-garde kind of stuff, the song did amazingly well. And I was saying this in the interview. At one point, the soundtrack to the game was more popular than the game because when that game came out, it had nothing but problems. It was hyped up for years. They had Keanu Reeves come out to the big Xbox presentation that he was involved in the game in a little bit, a little portion of it. A lot of hype going into it. It releases, and it was clunky for a while.
A little bit.
But the soundtrack got rave reviews for the music scores that were going on in the game, and she was a big part of that with her song Pain. So anyway, thank you to the Syndicate. Thank you to Le Destroy. Let's go now and hear said interview and check out her book and her album called Trashumanism. In one of the many new additions to the Javits Center here for New York Comic Con, not quite sure which floor that we're on, but we did run into Le Destroy. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing good. And enjoying New York Comic Con. Is this your first time at a con?
It's my first time at New York Comic Con.
New York Comic Con.
Yeah, I went to San Diego Comic Con once years ago, but this is my first time at this one, and I'm very excited.
What do you think about the experience?
I mean, it's massive, and I love how much light they get in the convention center, and like the layout is just so good, and the flow is so nice, and like Everyone is dressed up, so yeah, it's great.
You'll get sick of it real quick because it's 4 days, and you go, all right, the first day, and then by halfway in the first day, unless you've got a lot to do, you're like, oh, I walked the floor, now what? Oh, I still have to be here for another 4 hours, and then, oh, I have 3 more days of this. So it's great when you have something to promote.
I'll be here definitely today and then tomorrow to make sure if there's any cool like specialty items, and also like the artist row. I really want to go down there because I love seeing some of the artists, and not like necessarily the big brands, right? But like the artists that do their own thing, because those are the people I collaborate with.
The independent
and work
artists,
with.
yeah.
Exactly. So I'm really interested in scoping.
Do you have
them
any
out.
favorites? Like, what's your art style as far as comics go?
Oh man, I mean, it really varies. I can't tell you what I like, but when I see something, I know if I like it or if I don't. I can't.
It's subjective.
You know?
Art is
Yeah.
subjective.
Yeah, it really is. There's some things that just doesn't hit for me, you know, especially with like animated series. Like just some art styles just aren't there for me, you know.
Right.
But
You also said looking for exclusive items, so that must mean you collect some things. What do you collect?
if it's something I like, then I'll put it in my studio. You know, like I love having fun with decorating my studio and putting like I have a Ripley in the mech suit, which is so fun, you know, 'cause I love that movie. I have a bunch of cyberpunk stuff, obviously, because, you know, Cyberpunk 2077, but I also have unstable unicorns, like the stabby unicorn. I mean, literally, if it's fun and I like it, then I gravitate towards it.
If it's the Ripley I'm thinking of, she's with the giant yellow machine,
yep,
right? So
yeah.
That's my pal Randy. That's his company, NECA.
Really?
They have the Alien line. They've got the Predator line. They've got all of that stuff.
I also do have a xenomorph in there too.
All right. Well, they got a bunch of new stuff there. You can go out on the floor and see some of the new stuff they got out. You're here really because you've got this insane collaboration with yourself where you for those who don't know, you know, go to her YouTube, check out her music and her videos, but you put out an album back in May,
right?
Trashumanism.
Yeah.
And then now it's translated into what they call a silent graphic novel.
Right.
So is this like you play the album and read the book along with it?
You could do it like that. That's how it started. So like I did the album and I always had the idea that I wanted to do a graphic novel, and so the album is kind of like, I mean, it is the soundtrack to the graphic novel. So you can go through them separately or you can do it together. They are amazing standalone pieces. The whole world itself of Trashumanism is also going to keep expanding. So all of these different elements and arms of this project are going to come to life. Each track on the album is a chapter in the graphic novel. And so they're in the same order, they're the same names, so all the chapters are tied in visually with the album.
There are a lot of people who want to do what you have now achieved. How do you get that? How do you jump from the album to getting somebody on board to make the graphic novel to go along with it?
Well, I had an idea. Like, I'm a very visual person, so anytime I write songs or, you know, even if it's just an instrumental, there's an energy and I see things. And I have a ton of ideas. And so I just really wanted to get those out. You know, it was really awesome doing music for Cyberpunk 2077 and creating things for this world that have just these stunning visuals tied to them and storylines and characters and elements. And so when I was writing my album, I wanted to create something like that for myself because I did see things. What's really nice about doing things instead of, you know, shooting like a real life music video where I'm actually there in physical form, if you're doing things with an artist who can draw things, you can imagine so much more and do it for way less money than trying to do something in real life, right? Because the budget, it gets to be way too much money, like if you're trying to actually create that stuff.
Yeah, there's padded for, you know, people's time, technology, editing, that whole stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And then
well,
you're with a bigger
and
company.
Special effects and like all of that stuff, it starts to add up. So like the music videos that I did that were actually like me in real life, they are tied in with the graphic novel. So one of them, Me Versus You, is actually a precursor. So to the graphic novel where you see like prototypes being built and then they die and things like that.
I'm sure this thing is going to do very well for you. The album's doing very well. Your online presence, certainly the video game helped get a lot of attention on you. But you're putting all this together, it's doing well. But to get to that point where it's created, it's real, it's tangible, you're holding it, is an achievement of itself, because most people don't even get to that. They have the ideas, and maybe they have they start on that path, but then they either hit a roadblock or they lose interest, it's too hard, or they just don't have the right people around them. And getting to that point where you have the album and then you have the graphic novel, it's insane. I mean, that's fantastic that you got to that point. And now the next point is probably going to have to be Funko Pops or figures or something to go along with the characters.
Tabletop role-playing game.
That is a very popular genre. I don't know a lot of properties that tie into the tabletop game, but that's fantastic because there's nobody doing that.
Yeah, well, I can say that I am working with a Gold Emmy award-winning game author who won for his work on Warhammer. So
look at
that
you.
is what I
What
have
can't
to say
you do
about
at this
that.
point then? What can't you do at this point? When do you think that game is going to be available?
Okay, well, Trashumanism, the graphic novel, took a little over a year from when I reached out to Lourdes till when I had the physical prints in my hand. So, it depends on how long it takes to build the system into the world and how deep we make the world. So, I mean, I'm hoping not that long, somewhere in line of, what the graphic novel took.
I did want to ask you, I was going through your YouTube channel, I was watching all your videos, and the video and the song concept for Breed, very Nine Inch Nail-ish, it feels. Are they an inspiration at all? Or where do you pull your creativity? Where do you pull your...
So it is a nod. I mean, how could it not be, right? Like, and when I wrote the song, I was like, whoa, this is like My Closer, kind of. Like
I was going to say that.
It wasn't intentional to do that. It just kind of came out that way. But obviously a huge fan. And I worked with Danny Lohner, who was in Nine Inch Nails on the record. He co-produced it with me and obviously put his fingerprints on it and played a bunch of instruments, and then got Josh Freese, who's the drummer for the Foo Fighters, to play drums on the record, which is very exciting. So
I read that you have other artists that were really into what you were doing and helping you out, like with Pink and
oh my God, yeah. She came to my first show with my band for my first project. Yeah, and she was a fan, and she would bring me into her fold a little bit and stuff, and unfortunately I never ended up opening up for her on her tour. There was talk of that happening, but it just didn't fall on my side of the fence,
Well, that doesn't mean she's done. Doesn't mean that there's not another tour you can get on. And look, that's where everyone starts. You do the West Coast tour for an artist. You do the East Coast tour for an artist. Maybe you're doing the European leg of somebody's tour. And then, a year or two later, you get the call from a Live Nation or something. And now you're doing your own tour and you're bringing somebody else up right behind you.
Yeah, I definitely want to focus on, either opening for national acts or legacy acts. If national acts are coming through town in Texas, I've had opportunities to hop on and open up for them and things like that, which is really nice. It's very convenient. Then I don't have to fork out a ton of money to book a whole tour and make sure, that I can get people in there, But I would definitely make a solid act for opening up for legacy acts right now. I put on a hell of a show.
We're running out of time, but I just want to plug again, Trashumanism, the album is out, available anywhere you get music. The graphic novel is out now. How do people get that?
You can order it on my website, ledestroy.com.
ledestroy.com for everybody there. I'll end with this, since you mentioned Texas, Austin area, right? A million barbecue places there. What's the favorite?
My husband's.
Oh, what's yours?
No. His barbecue.
Oh, his
my
personal
favorite.
barbecue?
We have a Yoder, and I respect people who are vegetarians and vegans. I do like meat.
Yes, of course. How can you not? Especially in that area.
Yeah.
I know in that area everyone says Franklin's because it shows up on every cooking show, travel channel show, all that stuff like there.
It is solid.
Yeah.
Franklin's is really good.
There was a place that, and I only found it because it was near my hotel every time I'm in Austin, but it's on that main road near the bridge where all the bats fly out of.
Congress?
Yeah, on there.
Carving it up.
Cooper's, that's
Cooper's, yeah. That was the other one I was going to say. On the cafeteria style, that sounds like Cooper's.
You go and sit out in the back in the trees. They have the
tables there.
God, the
dino ribs.
Yeah.
Oh, have you had the beef ribs?
Yeah.
No, get me. Yes.
All right, I got to make another trip to Austin, get some barbecue.
You do, and hit me up.
I will. Le Destroy, is it that on the social media too? All the social media handles?
This is Le Destroy. I mean, it's so hard to get handles, and so by the time I had this project, I'm like, this is Le Destroy, others is Le Destroy, so you can find me. Just Google me.
And if you don't know, after all of this, if that still hasn't piqued your interest, Cyberpunk 2077,
yes,
the video game, for a while, the soundtrack was more popular than the game, because that game had a rough start coming out with some of the updates and some of the fixes they were doing, but nobody has ever talked bad about the soundtrack for that game. That's right up, it was compared right up there with the soundtrack for like GTA.
Right.
When you're driving around, just the selection of the music, people love that soundtrack. For the, what was it called? Radio Volumes?
Radio Volumes,
Radio Volumes, yeah. Let us Destroy. Thank you for talking with us. Enjoy New York Comic Con. Enjoy your time in New York City.
Thank you.
And we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah.
It's Eric Nagel. New York Comic Con.
Okay, moving along with the New York Comic Con 2024 show. Eric and Jordan here with you. Thank you again to Le Destroy for her time. Check out the Trashumanism album. You can find it wherever you download your music, and you can go to her website to go and buy the stuff and help her out. She's a good egg.
Yeah.
So go and support young artists.
Book looks good. She's got some hoodies on there. Go check out that site.
Right. All right. Moving on. So we had mentioned at the beginning of the show that Funko had a major presence at New York Comic Con again. They were gone for a couple of years after the pandemic.
Yeah.
Funko's been going through some issues in the last few years with layoffs and oversupplies and what have you. Hopefully they're rebounding and finding their footing again. But last year, the CEO of Funko stepped down.
Yeah,
he left, and it seems to be one of those things that was actually good terms. Like the board was fine with it. They came to whatever agreement they came to, and he was off for several months, and then announced that he started a new company, and it's called ThrillJoy. It's like, I didn't even enter my full name. Thrill how? So ThrillJoy is a new collectibles company that is amping up whatever Funko had going. They're blowing it out of the water with the blind boxing, the chase figures, the ultra chase figures, the rarities.
Super collectible.
It's just a company that's making rarities in hopes that you enjoy the licensing and the products they put out, but also the thrill of the hunt and the chase. So they really stepped it up as far as, it's, how Funko has their stickers for their different exclusives at different events. Well, ThrillJoy is doing way more than that, and they're doing wax seals, by the way, like you would find on a bottle of Maker's Mark, or if you're watching a period piece when like the queen would send a letter and have the wax seal
and she
on the envelope.
Stamps it. Yeah.
That's what they're doing.
I saw that. That's how they're doing their run count. So like on the box or something, it would have like 3,000 of whatever, or this is the limited edition. Like that is actually pretty cool. Something more numbers, tangible.
There's one product he put out, I forget what it was, and he said it's one of 24.
Wow. Because some of these runs are like 3,000, 2,000.
Yeah, because usually when you hear exclusive runs, sometimes, or ultra rare runs, they're like one of 240.
Right.
Not one of 24. But anyway, his name is Brian Mariotti. He was the CEO of Funko. He was the guy, kind of the mastermind behind the Funko Pop.
Yeah.
And we talked about that a little bit. He said, Funko used to be a big bobblehead company. And the Funko fan base at the time were not happy that this Pop thing was coming around. And it took about a year or two before it sunk in. And then, boom, they were off and running with all of that stuff. So brand new company, new toys, new everything. I got to talk to them for a little bit. They gave me something to give to you.
Oh, did they?
Because you weren't going to be there.
I know.
So they gave me this. Hopefully it shows on the
screen. Oh, that is awesome, dude.
You see that?
Freddy Krueger. I just watched that movie the other day. I gotta say that
one of 6,000.
That is bigger than I expected those things to be, because that is very big on the packaging. Oh, that is super cool.
Yeah, look at that. So what really they're doing is sort of kind of, for these things, they're called PIX, P-I-X.
Right.
So what they're kind of doing is in the vein of like Funko vinyl figures, but they're captured moments in time. So you're not just buying the figure, you're buying the moment in time. So what they have here is this is him standing on Elm Street, right?
That is super cool, yeah.
They're going to go through history, through famous sporting events, political events, whatever, and they're going to put figures within, they're going to build the scenario. It's like a diorama. You're buying a diorama with the figure in there for that moment in time. That's where they're going to evolve with this. So they told me to give that to you. And I opened up the box because if it was an Ultra Chase thing, I was going to tell it and not tell you that they even sent you anything.
I wouldn't blame you otherwise, yeah.
I had to lug that thing all around the floor of Comic-Con Thursday.
I did a diorama once, but it was just vintage Star Wars figures in their original packaging.
Chewie! They're all here in their original packaging. We have a winner! So they gave me this to give to you, and the item that I requested for me, they did not have. It was
which one were you looking at? Because I'm on their site. And
I forget Comic-Con is full of fatzos. So you try to get an XL shirt or higher, they're all gone.
Oh, you're not going to get that.
And this was 2 hours the first day after the doors opened.
We have a small
They have a He-Man line, a Masters of the Universe line.
Right.
And they have a Skeletor shirt in purple that I wanted. And XL and above was all gone. And I forget, I'm like, they're going to be left with a lot of smalls and mediums.
Is it the one where you see Skeletor's face with the swords crossed behind him?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
That's the one I wanted. So
a good one.
We'll see if they actually do send that to me. It's been a week. I don't think that's happening. But you got your thing, Jordan, so you should feel happy. Now I got to figure out a way to mail that to you as well.
Yeah.
So we'll put
I may have to have you just say, don't even try to give me any of those super chats. Just, use it for shipping.
Right.
That's how you funnel me things.
Correct.
Very cool.
All right. Let's go over to the brand new development of ThrillJoy, and we go and talk to CEO Brian Mariotti. We are here with Brian Mariotti, pretty much known as, I'm like, you're the guy who made vinyl toys happen. Like, you revolutionized the industry with everything that you've done, and now you're on a new venture. You went rogue a little bit on your own, and we're here with everyone here is crazy for your stuff here at ThrillJoy.
Yeah, no, look, it's a startup. It's our first launch ever. We wanted New York Comic Con to be a great way of showing our unique products in person versus just online. We thought it was absolutely essential that people get their hands on it and see the different unique characteristics of our lines, and so far the response has been phenomenal.
The con just started a couple hours ago. This is the first day. There's lines wrapped around this place.
Yeah.
Unheard of for a brand new pop-up.
That makes me feel good. I think make great products at a great price, engage the community, and hope they like it. And I think, we tried that at Funko. It worked really well. And obviously, different company, different philosophy. We're really leaning into limited editions, chase pieces, super rare chase pieces. We have 4 items here today that have a chase piece of only 24 pieces, which is essentially unheard of in our space. But just make quality stuff with quality licenses, and hopefully people, gravitate toward it.
One of 24 pieces. Usually when you hear something exclusive, it's like one of 2,400 pieces or one of 800 pieces. You never hear it in the double digits.
Yeah. I think that's something that, as a collector myself, that thrill of the chase, right? ThrillJoy, the thrill of the chase, the joy of collecting, right? Or joy of getting it. And seeing something that has an ultra limited, and all of our products have chase pieces, but 4 of them have super chase pieces. You land a super chase piece, like it's a lottery ticket, and I just love the idea that we already had a couple people post. This guy just got a super chase piece right there.
Look at that.
And that is exciting to see fans that freaked out about a super chase piece, and that's one of 24 right there. He's got it with the Mars Attacks. First one we've seen has got one, because a lot of everybody's exactly opening their products as they leave the booth, so this is pretty exciting.
What exactly makes that a super chase product? Is it that aware of it, the model, or is there something on the box that indicates that?
It's when you open that box up, it's blind. You see there's a seal. We don't use stickers, we use wax seals that say it's a 24-piece super chase. The character is unique, so we only made 24 of that Mars Attacks leader with that license, and there's an ambassador that we made a chase piece of, and then there's the Mars Attacks Martian Soldier, which is the main one. So he got one of the 24 pieces that were made.
That's
of that
a great
character.
concept, the wax seal, like an old-timey letter or Maker's Mark, something like that.
Well, everybody's been doing stickers forever. We just wanted to elevate every part of the packaging. The packaging's magnetic closed. It goes in and out. The product comes in and out really easy without ever disturbing the product. If you ever decide to resell it, you can, because this is an investment for people sometimes as well. But the packaging was more inspired by what Christian Dior or Yves Saint Laurent's doing. That high-end fashion packaging meets collectibles, and we really spent a lot of time and effort on the packaging itself, and I think it shows with the product.
Have you ventured into, doing blind boxes, chase pieces, usually is some sort of statue, figure, vinyl pop, something like that. Have you been looking at, I see you have a lot of clothing that are displayed around here. Are you looking at maybe doing the blind box for clothing too?
Yeah, not blind box itself, but ultra limited runs. All of our apparel is like, it's elevated and sophisticated, and it's like, but a bit understated, right? Pop culture's been doing T-shirts that look the same forever. Big Marvel shirts, big DC comic shirts. We wanted to go really understated, tone on tones. We're using rubber, using sonic welding for the products. We have bucket hats and ball caps that match the shirts. We just wanted to take a different spin on what is apparel in pop culture, and we think we did a pretty good job of kind of representing that here today.
Yeah, I'm seeing, you said the bucket hats, I'm seeing over there, it's like a lime green, bright green, ooze green, if you will, Ninja Turtles hat. You got the baseball jerseys over here, and that one looks like it could be like NASCAR or rugby or something like that.
That's our jumpsuits for our employees. We're also selling those as well for our fans.
So what else can you tell us about the clothing line that you have?
Well, I think for us it's about also looking at licenses, whether it's like $6 Million Man or things that have been either in the past or Blue Eye Samurai, Warrior Nun, things that have not had a lot of products represented. We're always looking for licenses that have a devout fan base, but there's not a lot of products made. And that way we can lean into the figures, but we can also lean into apparel in a different way. We're doing Beavis and Butthead, bucket hats and T-shirts where there's like rolls of toilet paper for cornholio, silly stuff like that, but done in it with like rubber appliques and tone-on-tone printing. So just a way to kind of represent your fandom. All of them are limited edition. All of them are boxed in amazing packaging, but just a different way of looking at pop culture fashion.
Brand new, first time you're doing this with the brand new company here. What are some of the products people should know about that you're putting out as far as the licensing?
Yeah, I think Pix is our big platform, and that's a $50 product that's a lot of storytelling. It's got different kinds of frames depending on what license style it is, whether it's anime, it's black bamboo. If it's a cartoon like Huckleberry Hound, it's got a whimsical frame. It's got, the dates of these shows aired. It's got specific artwork. It's got lenticular authenticity cards that are sandwiched between acrylic magnets. And the packaging's been really good, but it's also the license diversity. Things like Blue Eye Samurai and Warrior Nun, where very little product's been made, to classics like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and He-Man with our Skeletor line, Mars Attacks, which comes from the comic book world. Trying to do a diversity. We have Van Gogh. Very few people are doing Van Gogh products. I'm a huge art fan. I know a lot of people here love art, and New York City really love art. And so we're going to be doing Van Gogh and Salvador Dali and Pablo Picasso and Claude Monet and whimsical characters from history like Marie Antoinette and Shakespeare. And so we're always going to mix up the licenses, whether it's sports, music, anime, TV, movies, or pop culture icons like Mozart.
You're really hitting on all the properties that are big or getting big currently there. One, it's a great time to be a part of Masters of the Universe, man, that stuff there. With the popularity of the Kevin Smith series on Netflix, Netflix also has like 2 other animated versions of He-Man. They just cast people for the movie or the live series that's coming out there. So great time to be a part of that. Going through the art with Van Gogh, that never goes out of style. Like you always, that's kind of like remember back in the day, you would have the John Belushi from Animal House would be the poster on the wall in colleges, or the guy from Jim Morrison from The Doors. Now, like everywhere's got Van Gogh in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, look, this tells about the storytelling element. That frame is a museum frame. It's bright gold. It's got Starry Night, which is my favorite picture. It's 1889. It's got the date. And we love the idea of like freezing these pop culture moments immortalized, right? And I think that's what I love about the Pix line. LeBron James breaking the scoring record, somebody having an all-star appearance or a Super Bowl appearance or winning a trophy for the Super Bowl or a Major League Baseball championship for the World Series. But these products can represent a moment in time that are really important to people. And you're right, when I grew up, it was a Farrah Fawcett, poster or a, Dan Fouts Charger poster. I think our generation is growing up with Pops and different other great products from different great companies that represent their fandom more than like a traditional poster. I think it's like putting that stuff up on your wall, on your shelf, really tells you who and what you're about and who you like in pop culture.
You mentioned about trying to cater to audiences of properties and franchises that don't seem to be fully represented. And one of them you mentioned was $6 Million Man, which is an older property. That's from the 70s. Do you find that is it harder, or is it more of an opportunity for you guys to do something like that when generationally, like millennial, Gen Z, going younger, they don't really look back past from when they were born like Gen X and the olders do? We all look back to the 80s, the 70s, the 90s, stuff like that. Do you find that to be a bit of a struggle going back that far with a popular property at one time but doesn't get represented anymore?
I think what I like about ThrillJoy being not a publicly traded company and being private and privately held is that we can do things without needing a spreadsheet analysis on what the financial ramifications are of doing $6 Million Man. We know there's a fan base out there. We know it's an older fan base, but a rabid fan base. And then, maybe some of the older fans influence the younger fans, but I don't have to hit like certain numbers to make sense for the development of that. And I like the idea that we're going to chase things that will go with a younger demographic or an older demographic or somewhere in between, and not necessarily worry that I have to hit a certain amount of units to report to our investor base, right? And that gives you a lot of fun. And I think that's what's kind of reinvigorated me. My 6-month retirement after Funko was short. I was bored. I needed to do something. I needed to put the creative energy into something, and came up with ThrillJoy and brought some really great people on that are going to be great partners. And then the thing that's really interesting about us, and we're going to talk about it tonight at our at our Comic-Con panel, is the fact that fans are going to own part of our company too. We're giving away stock to certain key fans, key influencers in certain areas that we really want to go into, and bringing our fans in and having them have a voice, voting on licenses, voting on price points, voting on directions of the company. I don't know another company that's done that before from the inception, and we are. And we're really excited about it. Our fans know a lot about pop culture, and they do influence what we do, and they did influence what we did at Funko, and we're just taking it to another level with our fan advisory board and giving stock to some of our key fans.
It's great that you're willing to take those chances since you don't really have any constrictions on you. So you could go back even to the 80s right now and pull up some like MTV forgotten staples like the Young Ones or Remote Control, Totally Pauly, things like that. Club MTV.
We're doing Eon Flux, and there's very little MTV classic Eon Flux products, right? We're doing obviously another round of Beavis and Butthead we're excited about, another round of Daria. Eon Flux is one you don't see a lot of products for. There was some movie that came out much later, but didn't resonate with a lot of people, but the MTV show did. And you're right, you want to talk about random MTV. How about like Stevie Washington, The Angry Youth? And they have those little shorts that were in between. I want to do crazy stuff like that. I want to dig through the archives and say, what can we bring out that nobody else has done? And that's a great example.
I'll give you one idea, because everyone thinks like Nickelodeon only goes back to like the age of Rugrats and SpongeBob. Go even further, where they had like Pinwheel. You can't do that on television. All the 80s Nickelodeon that everybody either doesn't acknowledge or forgot about, like that. Like that would be a gold mine.
And that's why we have great partners. You see obviously a lot of our relationships with Nickelodeon and Paramount and here at the booth and with the Turtles and such, but digging through the archives and finding things that people are going, oh my God, they made that. That really fuels you, and I think that's something that's going to differentiate us. There are so many great licenses out there. There's a lot of licenses that people do a lot with over and over and over again. We want to be a little bit different. We want to think outside the box. We want to find licenses that haven't been represented in fan bases that are dying for product, and I think we got to get off to a good start with this.
Well, I got to say, you really are doing. The line is still going. We've only a couple hours into the actual con starting, and it's still wrapped around what we call the block.
Yes.
Around all the other venues, the other vendors here. So that's got to make you feel good that it's interrupting their traffic.
It's off to a great start, and you get nervous, right? You don't know if anybody's
going to
want
show
this
up.
Stuff. Yeah. And you don't know. You just hope you make great products and pick great licenses, and you execute, and then you got to kind of leave it up to them. And I remember when I came up with Pop in 2010, our fan base at Funko did not like it. It was all new fans that did, and it was scary at the first.
Because you were bobbleheads before that.
Yeah, we were all bobbleheads. I remember showing it to my fan base early on, and they're like, where's the bobbleheads? And I'm like, my heart sunk, and I'm like, all right. And then all of a sudden, as that show was going on at San Diego Comic-Con in 2010, people were coming to our booth that never came in and bought stuff. a lot of women were buying stuff saying, hey, where's that cute Batman, that cute Joker? And I knew we had something different and unique, and it was a lot harder to launch something then. I think we have some great people that that have helped me along the years at Funko and Loungefly that are in this new company, and I think we had a great idea of what the fan bases wanted to do something unique and different, and I think we executed it. So
one of the great things that kind of builds loyalty to a brand, to a company, is the accidental finds in a store.
Yep.
Your old company.
Yep.
I think it was in like Barnes and Noble or something, and I walked in. I hadn't seen the pop before, and I go, "They have The Simpsons here.
Yeah.
No one's got The Simpsons."
Yeah.
I bought all The Simpsons.
Yeah.
And then from there, I was hooked.
Yeah.
You know, and to find something like this, to find Blue in the store,
Yeah.
the bucket hats, things like that. You walk in there, and go, "I haven't seen this
Yeah.
before. This is great. What's the company? All right, I'm going to go look them up, see what else they got." And
Yeah.
then it's just those accidental finds.
Yeah, it's a rabbit hole, right? And we always said that, like you know, back in the day at Funko, it's like you just needed one person to buy one, and then their eyes kind of opened up. It's like when you have a brand new car, and you think you're the only person on the road with that car. Then you look around and you start realizing all these people have the same car as you. I think that's what happens when you buy products. If you can see them in person, you can get excited about it. And hey, maybe we got people coming in that haven't bought one of these products for 6 months, but they get one and they realize, oh man, what did they do in the past 6 months? And they go back and they find out that we did do $6 Million Man or something like that. And I think that's what's always exciting about the chase. Is like, what is this world going to open? And if we want to delight and surprise people with our product choices and our licensing choices, and I think that is going to be kind of the ethos of the company. Limited, rare, chase pieces, but also diversity of product types, product price points, and product stylization. I think we're going to do really well with that.
Do you have partnerships with stores? Like, can people go into a Target or something like that and find this?
So we're going to do a majority of our products are going to be sold directly on ThrillJoy.com. We have a partnership with Hot Topic and Box Lunch we're very excited about.
Perfect.
And then we're also going to be working with Bait and Undefeated because Eric Peng is one of our owners as well. And so Eric brings a wonderful mentality of that sneaker culture and that partnerships with Adidas and Under Armour and Nike and having him be part of our ownership group is really key. Between him and MD Young at MindStyle, these are guys that have been around and they know collectibles and sneaker culture better than anybody, and to lean on them and find a way to steer our company in unique, interesting avenues is something I'm really excited about, and having those two kind of partners from different backgrounds is really going to help us be better operators. So,
Brian Mariotti, CEO of ThrillJoy here. Thank you so much for your time, for coming out and talking to us. You're a busy man. You've got it shows. There's a lot of people here that are looking to just. It's like the old Futurama meme. Take my money.
That's
they're
right.
all just reaching out into their pockets and throwing it at you to get all this great stuff here. Thank you so much for your time, man. I appreciate it.
Thanks a lot.
Comic-Con.
And moving right along for New York Comic-Con 2024, Eric and Jordan here with you. Very much thanks to Brian Mariotti. I don't even know if that was the right term, but thank you, sir, for having us out. He gave me his cell phone number. I doubt if I text him, he'll know who I am, but he took care of me, and he was a friggin' rock star. People were coming all over that got these lotto tickets to come in. Every time they bought a piece, got a chase piece, whatever, he would walk over and he'd sign it for them. He was taking photos. Cool. People were waiting outside the ThrillJoy designated area because it was built like a castle, right?
Oh, that's cool.
For him to walk out now and then, and he was signing Funko Pops. Like, it was insane. It was one of those rare cases where it's like the CEO of a corporation is really famous.
Like, it's not like a actor or a musician. It's the guy who developed your toys that you want to collect. And you're like,
I showed you on eBay. I was curious. I'm like, some of those figures, I saw people getting them and celebrating that they got the Ultra Chase figures. I saw a couple of them on eBay, and they were selling for like $5,000 because they got the Ultra Chase plus they had Brian's signature on it.
Right.
And I said, that's ridiculous. Now,
collectors want to collect.
Enough time is removed from that interview. I hate blind boxes. I really just would I don't mind spending more if I know I'm buying exactly what I want.
Right.
Blind boxes drive me crazy, but people love them. I guess,
it's a thrill of trying to find that ultra rare thing.
It is. It drives me nuts, but alas, their products are great. All right. So moving on, walking around the floor, and I run into JP Karliak. Do you know who that is?
I believe I do have some knowledge of JP. He is Morph from Xmen 97.
Xmen and Xmen 97, correct.
So awesome.
Yes. He's also got a new movie coming up in 2025. They're doing another Smurfs movie.
Are they?
Yeah. Apparently, the Smurfs are still.
Are there other Smurfs movies?
I guess, right? So
are they the live action ones? I think
it's a mixture between CGI and live action kind of thing. So he gave me no other details other than he's in the new Smurf movie coming out next year. He's another guy that's in a lot of video game stuff. He does a lot of voiceover work. And he's very cool, and he's also part of an organization that's advocating to get the nerd culture and the queer culture to vote.
Okay,
there's a lot, as he'll explain in better detail, but he's saying, a lot of them get intimidated. They don't want to vote because, look, I get it. Whether you're gay or non-binary or straight or whatever. Everything's intimidating right now. Right. If you say the wrong thing in front of the wrong people have a fight. They scream, they yell, you lose your jobs. You can't come into certain establishments. People and family stop talking to you. So it's not just them. It's more them, but it's just like everybody's feeling it in some way, shape, or form, how hostile this election season has been.
Right.
But he's out there advocating for these help inform them about voting, what have you. So we talk about all that stuff. But of course, we're talking about Xmen 97.
So
you have
good.
to.
Well,
Sleeper hit that Marvel needed to jumpstart their way back into making successful properties again, because that came out, right? Then, and that did gangbusters for them.
Unexpectedly.
Deadpool broke over $1 billion. It's almost at $1.5 billion right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's heading that way. And then Agatha's doing very well. So Marvel needed that shot in the arm, that kick in the ass, that punch in the teeth, whatever physical violence that they needed to convince them to straighten up and fly right and get their shit together. And Xmen 97 was the one leading that charge this year.
Right.
We got to talk to him all about that fun stuff. I mean, it was really exciting. It was really cool to talk to him. So here we are, JP Karliak, Morph from Xmen 97. Continuing on here on the floor of New York Comic-Con. I forget what day it is. There's too many days. It's too long. You lose track of space, time, relevancy. You have no idea. You're just walking around in sort of a zombie-like state. It's hot, it's cold, both at the same time, and you're trying not to touch everybody, yet everybody is touching you. It's a real paradox in this place. But it's times like this when you find really cool people to talk to and hang out with, and this is one of them, JP Karliak. Now, this is a man you may know from the Xmen 97 series that just came out. Fantastic series, by the way. We'll get into that in a second. But I just want to run down for the audience some of the other credits that people may not know about you. You've done a plethora of voices for Despicable Me 4, the Castlevania series, which is a favorite of mine. Mm-hmm. You took over the Alec Baldwin role in a bunch of the Baby Boss series that came out.
Baby, yeah.
You were Reese in the Batman Killing Joke, and this one you were the Joker in Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League.
Yeah.
That was a game everyone was looking forward to. It's like, wait, we could be the villains and we're killing all the good guys? We have to get this game. How much fun is it to do video games?
It's a lot of fun, and it's a different muscle. You know, I come from doing mostly animation, where you're just reading a script, much like you would read a radio play. But video games, you're reading a spreadsheet, and it's really about your work with the director, giving you context, setting up the scenario for you. Not to mention all of the efforts and stabs, explosions, jumps, and all of that stuff. So it's a very energetic and fun medium.
And you're no stranger to video games too. I mean, besides from that, Starfield, massive game. You're in a lot of great properties. Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man Miles Morales. The Last of Us 2, Halo Infinite, we just said Red Dead Redemption 2, Kingdom Hearts, Final Fantasy. You've done it all, and you're not even close to being done yet.
I hope not.
No, not at all. But, of course, Xmen 97 is where everybody currently knows you from. What was it like getting cast for that and then seeing how it exploded? Like, it was already a popular series. People were so excited that it was coming back, and to see it explode even more for not just the older generation that grew up with it, watching it, but the newer generation checking it out and also loving it.
I mean, I think that was the most unexpected thing. Not that we thought the series would be bad, but we knew that it was going to resonate with the fans from the 90s. We knew that we had that responsibility to live up to the original series. But the fact that it's so surpassed it and surpassed all expectations, it's grounded, yet it still has all of the fun of the original. It hits on so many adult themes, but yet is still friendly for kids. It really hits on so many levels that I think the fans were so excited that not only could they rewatch it and feel that they're a part of their childhood, but also bring in their kids who are now watching it. So, yeah, it was both a shock and yet completely expected, I guess, in a way. I
think it was a much needed shot in the arm for Marvel, because they were putting out a lot of things, and not a lot of them were hitting. Like the fan criticism, sometimes ratings, box offices weren't where they wanted it to be. X-Men 97 comes out, and across the board, everyone is like, fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, this is the year of the X-Men. Between Deadpool and Wolverine and X-Men 97, I think it's really shown that people are hungry for the mutant rebellion. So, yeah.
Do you have any expectations of seeing Morph translate to the big screen when they do finally fully introduce all the mutants in the X-Men saga?
I mean, we'll see. I don't know if I'll be the one doing it, but in whatever iteration Morph...
Well, let's not put ourselves down here. There's always a possibility.
No. It's... I'm usually very comfortable behind the mic. But yeah, whatever iteration Morph might appear on the big screen, I'm excited about it.
Another thing that was very unique to the X-Men 97 property was the fact that, and you see it now with a lot of different franchises, it's a weird time because people, if anything deviates just the slightest from the original source material, people are losing their shit before the thing even comes out. They're trashing it, they're panning it, they're review bombing, whatever you want to call it. It happened a little bit with X-Men 97 when they announced that Morph was non-binary. Mm-hmm. And people, up in arms. The show comes out, people are watching it, and everyone goes, oh yeah, this is nothing. This is no big deal. And it was never spoken about again for X-Men 97, but other properties still seem to have this. What did X-Men do right that the other properties could learn from?
Well, I think there's nothing wrong with saying it overtly in a series. We are just not, and part of it honestly has to do with that the show takes place in the 90s. The term non-binary, even though certainly non-binary people have existed for, hundreds of years, since the beginning of time, the term non-binary wasn't used until the 2000s. So I think Morph is on a gender journey, coming to terms with who they are. I think where we succeed, where others have failed, is that it's authentically cast. I'm a genderqueer person myself. A lot of the writers are queer themselves, so it's coming from an authentic place where, even though we're not specifically saying anything or having a very special non-binary episode, anybody who's queer can feel the authenticity and can feel like those little intangible things that make it feel authentic. In the same way that anybody going to see Black Panther, even though Wakanda is not an actual country,
it's not.
I
was lied to so many times.
Maybe it is. It's hidden, in the.
That is true.
Yeah, but there's that intangible authenticity about it, that whether you're a part of the Black community or even if you're not, you sense it, you feel it. It's so rich and has depth, and I think that's where we succeed. Whereas other properties might say, hey, we have a non-binary character, and maybe they authentically cast it, but they've done none of the work, none of the backstory that's authentically fits it, so it just feels slapped on for like a diversity checkpoint.
Yeah, so sometimes they put something in there, like you said, like a checkpoint, but it's not grounded, there's no real base on it. It's like, well, this makes sense for that character or this storyline to be this way because here's the whole backstory, here's the how the character is going to evolve and what it's doing, and then you go, all right, I'm piecing all this together over, like if it's an episodic series.
Yeah.
You need some time to build the story. It's not like you're going to get everything in a 90-minute movie in a one episode of a television show.
Exactly, and what I think studios need to understand is that if it's not going to resonate with the community it's supposed to represent, it actually won't resonate with the larger human race, because we're all human beings and we all know fake when we see it. So,
I can't even imagine that when they're putting something out, because it's hard to tell sometimes. You're thinking sometimes it's good intentions. Other times you go, is the studio just pandering, or is this a cash grab thing? Because they're not really explaining. And like you said, the community it's supposed to represent is not happy. You can't deal with the other people who aren't happy with this. So you have no basis to go on, and then you're like, well, you're kind of stuck now. What do you do?
And I mean, exactly as you said before, we had all of this uprising before the show actually came out. But once people saw it was excellent, even if people were still shouting about it, saying it's woke, blah, 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 the excitement drowned all of that out. And so I think the lesson here is that authenticity and excellence always will drown out any of the haters. So just go for gold.
And with Xmen, you can't go wrong because it always was about that since the very beginning. I mean, it was about gender and sexual choice and
the
also
civil rights
racism, and all that stuff. It had all of that stuff in there, which I think today a lot of people forget the origin stories. Like, Wolverine's cool when he's killing and slashing things, and you go, but look at the rest of like a Storm's backstory and Charles, and look at some of these other things, and you go,
Charles and Magneto.
See where it all came from? Do you understand this?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, it's all woke shit now, and you go, since the 60s. Like, how are you not seeing that?
Charles and Magneto were always an allegory for MLK and Malcolm X. That's canon.
We're excited. We're waiting for more Xmen 97. We know a second season's coming.
Yes, it is.
Have you done anything for it yet, or has that not started? Okay,
no, we've been doing it for a while. But much like the first season, I think it's all about just honing it, getting it right, and I think we've got some really exciting stuff, none of which I can talk about.
No, I know. I just
in store for the next one.
Yeah. Well, besides from Xmen, you have another project coming up here, which I'm going to say this next property. It was here before we got here. It'll be here long after we got here. The Smurfs is back again with another Smurfs movie's coming out, and you're cast in there. We don't know your role yet. Has that been announced or no?
Not yet. I think the trailer will probably come out sometime next year, and all will be revealed. Super exciting.
Full animated, half and half, like the other ones were CGI and real life.
I think I could say it's mostly animated. There's a whole bunch of surprises in it. I think is the way I can put it right now. But it's executive produced by Rihanna. She plays Smurfette. She's also wrote a lot of the music for it. It's it's a really, really fun concept.
That's the way to do it. It's like, I want to be in a Smurfs movie, and if you've got that kind of pull, I'll write the soundtrack for it. Great, you can be whoever you want in the movie, and you want to produce it.
You can
produce whatever you want to do with it. Good for Rihanna. I know the trailer's still to come, but there's no information at all about what the synopsis of the story is, right?
Nothing. All under wraps.
All right, so you're busy you got another Xmen season coming, you got a Smurfs movie coming. I'm seeing this pretty cool shirt that you're wearing right here. This is the Nerds Vote thing. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so Nerds Vote is an organization founded by me and my voiceover partner in crime, Courtney Taylor, who you might know from games like Fallout or Mass Effect. Courtney and I felt that we needed to bring voter registration opportunities to con-goers, comic book readers, cosplayers, gamers, and pop culture fans of all kinds, a.k.a. nerds. And so we...
Oh, now it makes sense.
Yeah.
Now I get it. Now you draw the lines
So basically,
together.
everybody's a nerd. If you have a thing you're a fan of and you're passionate about it, you're a nerd. And that is not a bad thing. So, we've just been reaching out at Comic-Cons like this, encouraging people to vote. We're nonpartisan, but for us, it's just the most important thing is just people exercising their civic duty. So, we've been doing it since 2017, and there's a tiny election that's happening this year.
Well, I was going to bring that up, since that's what you're advocating for here, and it's a very important election. It's I think at this point we're like 16 days away from it.
Oh my God.
It's very close. I've been calling this because it's been politics has been so wrestling related for the last year. It's like we're building the road to WrestleMania, if you understand that kind of reference to it.
The Royal Rumble.
But you would think a place like this would be a great opportunity, not for the political parties to set up, but the advocacies, the nonprofit groups for voter registration. You'd think they'd have something here set up, and they don't.
One of the big things that we always ran into were Comic-Cons are just really adverse to having any type of political action, even if it is nonpartisan, like just regular old voter registration. Sometimes they'll allow a group to set up in the dark corner of way far off. So for us, instead of trying to just set up a voter registration booth, which people might see or might not, what we do is we try to get the quote-unquote notable nerds that everybody's a fan of to have some of our stickers and if somebody like your favorite voiceover artist or somebody that you loved from a TV series was so glad to meet you and was like, hey, by the way, I think you should vote this year. It might make an impact, especially if you're a young kid who's never voted before, you're turning 18. It might feel like, oh, wow, Wolverine or Wonder Woman told me to vote. I should do that. So we're that's the way we do it. We use our army of notable nerds to put the word out.
Finally, I wanted to talk to you about this other thing that you're working on, the Queer Vox Academy. Tell me about that.
I started Queer Vox in 2021. It's a nonprofit academy and community for LGBTQIA plus voice actors. And basically, we're an online community. We offer classes, and workshops and panels. We have an online talent directory that's accessed by casting around the country. And we also do outreach within the industry to get them not only to understand why authentic casting is important, but how to do it right.
Where can people go to check this out? Is there a website? Is there social media content?
Yeah. So for Queer Vox, queervox.org. VOX, and Nerdsvote is nerdsvote.com.
All right, there we go. I was just checking my list to make sure we got everything because I don't want to take up all your time here. JP, thank you very much for your time. Thank you for coming to hang out. Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, you too.
It's Eric Nagel at New York Comic-Con.
All right, more of New York Comic-Con 2024. I went to see two doctors from Doctor Who. I saw Matt Smith and Jodie Whittaker.
I'm jealous of one, not to say that she's bad, but I was actually more curious if your feelings toward her run as the Doctor would come through with your meeting of Jodie Whittaker.
In full disclosure, it's documented on the show, so you can go back if you need to. But I'll say it up front here. I did not hate her as the Doctor.
I know.
She was not bad. I think the writing was terrible, and I blame everything on Chris Chibnall, the showrunner of the time, for why that was atrocious. Now, she had some good episodes. She's a fine doctor, had no problem with her. Everything else around her was complete nonsense, complete crap. And I will say this, the current run of Doctor Who has really made me appreciate her doctor more. And I was debating if I should say that to her or not, but cooler heads prevailed, and I felt that would not be.
Well, you don't want to feel like you're disparaging the long history of the Doctor. I mean, you wouldn't say that about certain characters and certain people. They all seems to be pretty nice to each other.
Correct.
In that world. So.
Right. So she was very nice, and she's also from Broadchurch, the British version, and one of the more famous episodes of Black Mirror, where they have the memory thing, like they could cast their memory to the television, and you could see everything that they saw. She was in that episode. Great actress. And then I saw Matt Smith, and Matt was great. He has a mohawk going on right now.
Really?
A mini mohawk, a faux hawk, I guess you want to call it. I don't know what role this is for. I don't know if this is for House of Dragons. I don't know if this is for another project that I'm not aware coming up, but he sat there in a denim jacket with a mini mohawk, and he looked like a punk from the 80s. So, but he was very nice, very polite. But they had him on an assembly line. So I had my poster that I went to go get signed, and he was very nice. If he would talk to you, hello, how are you? He looked at my poster and he goes, oh, look at this. And he goes, where would you like me to sign? I said, honestly, wherever you want to sign. He goes, I'm going to write in really big letters. I was like, do it. And then he just wrote really big.
That's awesome.
Because he saw Tennant's autograph, and he goes, I'm going to do it bigger than his, and drew it bigger. And I said, that's fine. If you want to do. And then as I went to say goodbye, his handler was having him shake hands to the next lady. I was like, all right, yeah, I get it.
That's a bummer.
It is what it is. Because this wasn't an interview. This was just an opportunity to meet him and get something signed. So that's
right.
I jumped.
Now, do you only have Tennant on that poster, or do you have anybody else on there?
No. Opening my poster tube here, getting the poster out. No. So on this poster,
I've always seen the poster tube guys walking around cons. I never thought you'd be a poster tube guy, but I would say this had to be protected. So
it had to. So on this poster is David Tennant, is Matt Smith, is Peter Capaldi, is Stephen Moffat.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
Paul McGann, Karen Gilliam, Jenna Coleman, Sylvester McCoy, Colin Baker, and I think one or two others that I'm forgetting here.
I'm going to need you to get that.
Oh, Michelle Gomez is on here too.
I will need a picture of that. Let me see. I'm actually going to get a picture of that.
I'll just take a photo and show you.
Yeah, I was going to say, take a photo. Send that to me. That's actually really cool.
And this is a metallic poster.
Yeah, it looked very shiny.
Yeah, so this isn't like your run-of-the-mill just kind of poster you get flipping through the back catalog at Spencer's or a Target or something like that. This was a metallic chrome Doctor Who poster that I got over a decade ago. And as Doctor Who people were coming around, I got it signed. So this one is one of my favorite pieces that I have.
That's
you can see that big empty frame right there, a big metal chrome frame that I got to put this back into there and then hang up on the wall.
That's really cool.
So yeah, got to see them. That was a highlight for me. And
now that you got those two, do you have a wish list item of person like you want to still add? Is there anybody else that
Chris Eccleston?
I was going to say Eccleston would be the one.
He's not been to New York Comic Con. He's not been. I don't know if he's been to San Diego Comic Con since he was in Doctor Who.
No, he did another con recently, but he has a long history of not really enjoying. What's his face?
I would love to get Chris Eccleston.
Yeah.
If he shows up somewhere, I'll go and try to seek that out. And then the last two remaining doctors, Tom Davison and Tom Baker.
Tom Baker would be good.
Yeah. John Davison, right? John Davison, not Tom. Sorry. Tom Baker, John Davison. Tom Baker is old and, not much longer for this world. So I would love, he'll never be in the United States, I don't think. So I think that's never going to happen. John Davison is still a chance to get him somewhere. And I think that would be about it.
I'm actually very excited.
Oh, Billy Piper.
Oh, Billy Piper would be
Billy
great.
Piper, I would like to.
She shows up things lately, usually with Eccleston. Like they seem to be running the same circuits sometimes. So you may be able to get a two for the next time that happens.
I will try for that. All right. But after the doctors went and saw Kevin Smith for a tiny bit. He had a big signing with Jay Muse there on Thursday and Friday. So I went by the tent and said hello, and then didn't do anything formal with him. Just
hang
hugs,
out,
handshakes, and was on my way. And then I went over to talk to legendary author R.L. Stine.
Jealous of that one.
If you don't know who R.L. Stine is, what kind of childhood did you have growing up? R.L. Stine is the gateway drug to Stephen King, to Dean Koontz, and writers of that ilk. Mm-hmm. He is the OG child horror writer. The Goosebumps series.
Right.
The, what is it, Freak Street?
Fear Street.
Fear Street.
Fear Street was my entry into that. I got a little aged out.
His other edition of franchise books.
It's like young adult version of horror.
Right. And those were so popular because look, Goosebumps has been in the lexicon forever. They made that movie with Jack Black.
Right.
That portrayed him. Fear Street had 3 movies that showed up on Netflix and all went to the top movie selection.
Oh, yeah.
On Netflix for a while. Like they were #1 movies on Netflix for a while. And we haven't heard much word about if they're ever going to do any more until now. He says so. What's happening? All in this interview. Let's go talk to R.L. Stine. We're here with a legend, everybody. Mr. R.L. Stine. If you don't know him, where have you been for the last 5 decades? I think most of our audience...
Hey, you don't have to say 5 decades. Come on.
Well, I'm almost at 5 decades.
3 decades.
All right, let's say 3 decades to be nice for it. We'll edit that in. I grew up with these books. Most of the audience here that listens to us all grew up on your books here. We always called it the gateway drug of Goosebumps, going into young adulthood when you'd start branching into some of the more serious stuff like Koontz or Stephen King.
One magazine called me a training bra.
Really?
They called me a training bra for Stephen King.
All right.
And
it's a different way to put
it. The day I met Stephen King, I've only met him once.
Right.
And it was at the Edgar Awards, the Mystery Writers Award.
Right.
And we had a nice talk, and then I said, Steve, did you know that a magazine once called me a training bra for you? And he said, yes, I know.
Is he the one that told him?
He knew it. No, he knew about it.
Yeah, we grew up on your books, and it's never stopped. Like you hit a vein with not just like pop culture or American culture, but like with the world. and people just didn't want you to stop. It's going to this day.
They won't let me stop.
They won't let you stop.
It's enough already, isn't it?
Are you ready to retire and just ride off into the
writers
sunset?
Don't retire.
Yeah.
I mean, writers don't. You just drop dead on your keyboard.
Yeah.
You don't retire. No, hey, listen, 32 years of Goosebumps. And when we started out, I said, let's do 2 or 3.
Yeah. How'd that work out?
Shows what I know, yeah.
Some people may not know this, but you started in doing a lot of humor writing.
No, that's all. I only wanted to be funny. I never planned to be scary. I did a humor magazine for kids called Bananas for 10 years. And that was like my life's dream. And when Bananas folded, I thought I was just going to coast the rest of my life. I figured that was it for me.
How do you make the transition from Bananas and joke books and stuff like that into Goosebumps?
Because I think horror is funny. There's like something missing in my brain where I don't get scared by horror. If I go to a scary movie or I'm reading a novel, it makes me laugh. People come up to me, they say, oh, I had to leave on all the lights after I read your book.
Right.
I had to lock the doors. I've never had that feeling. I don't know what that feeling is.
That people react to things differently.
I just think if you're in the movie theater and the shark comes up and chews up the teenager, I'm the one in the theater laughing. Humor and horror, it's the same visceral reaction. I would say when you sneak up behind somebody and you go, boo, what's the first thing they do? They gasp.
Yeah.
And then they laugh. It's the same reaction.
Sometimes they punch you,
Well, yeah, that's later. So I just think it's humor and horror very closely. When you go up to a roller coaster, you're in an amusement park, and you hear people laughing and screaming at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you're on one of those, especially those old wooden roller coasters,
Yes.
if a park still has them,
Yeah.
and you're hearing the and you're thinking, this thing is so dilapidated, it's going to fall apart before I even get over to the part where I think I'm going to fall over. I'm going to die before I die. And then neither happens. You're terrified, and then you get off, and you're right. You're that adrenaline rush, that dopamine in your brain, I guess, and you're just like, oh my God, I almost died. And then you start laughing and having a good time because you almost died.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
And you figured out a way to bottle it, essentially, putting it all into your stories, into your books. And you had just said you were only looking to do like 2 or 3, or maybe that was the original agreement to do about 2 or 3.
No, I didn't want. I didn't want to do Goosebumps. This is the truth. This is the kind of businessman I am. We were doing Fear Street books for teenagers, killing off teenagers every month, and the series was doing really well. And my editor said, nobody has ever done a scary series for 7 to 12-year-olds before. We should try it. And I said, no, I don't want to. It'll mess up my Fear Street audience.
Right.
I didn't want to do it. And they kept after me, and finally I said, all right, if I can think of a good name, let's try 2 or 3. And now it's 32 years later.
I know.
And here's where Goosebumps came from. This is true. I'm reading TV Guide, and in those days, TV Guide had the listings in the middle of the magazine.
Right.
It showed everything that was on. And at the bottom of a page was a tiny ad. It said, it's Goosebumps Week on Channel 11.
Was that here in New York?
And yeah. And I just stared at it. I said, that's perfect. We'll call it Channel 11. That's my bad joke.
No, I get it.
I
was trying to
apologize.
think.
No, I'm sorry. That's
No,
a bad joke.
I grew.
But that's where it came from.
I grew
That's
up here in New York, in the New York area, watching that stuff on Channel 11. But they had somebody. Every market had their own local guy.
Yeah, right.
And then when it wasn't the horror stuff, it was the weird, wacky stuff like Uncle Floyd or something like that.
Yes,
Captain Kangaroo, those kind of things. But that's
Uncle Floyd. God, I haven't thought about Uncle Floyd.
I don't think anyone's thought about
long
Uncle Floyd in a long time.
So
that's where the name came from. Just a little blurb.
Yeah, just from a
written
little ad. There was the word Goosebumps. I said it's perfect because it's scary, but it's light. It's funny. It's funny.
Yeah. It's amazing where inspiration comes from.
You just find,
it's the weirdest.
Accidentally.
When you're looking for it, it doesn't happen. And then when you're not looking for it,
one day I was in
the
Walmart, and there was a sign up. They had Halloween costumes, and it said "mostly ghostly" in Walmart, on the wall in Walmart. It said it's a perfect book series title, and I did a series for Random House called Mostly Ghostly.
Now
the title
Walmart's gonna
came
come
from a
after you for that.
Walmart wall.
Yeah. You were talking about your Fear Street books. A few years back on Netflix, they put out 3 movies based off the Fear Street books series. They did pretty well. Has there been any...
Pretty well. All 3 were number 1 on Netflix.
Okay.
They were all number 1.
They were all number 1?
Yeah. No, I was shocked by those films because they're R-rated. I've never done anything R-rated. Even my life isn't R-rated.
Right.
I've never done anything R-rated. I was shocked by them. But, they're slasher movies.
Yeah.
And then they were all number 1, and I got to like them. And now we're doing more.
Well, that was my question. Was there any, because of that, was there any
Yeah,
kind
no,
of
we have one
interest
coming out.
in the
We have
resurgence
one
of that?
already
Yeah.
shot, one already filmed.
What's it called?
Based on The Prom Queen.
Okay.
That Fear Street novel. And I think maybe Valentine's Day on Netflix. They haven't really announced when. Sometime next year they're going to show it.
That's fantastic.
And no one's listening, right?
No.
I'll tell you, we have 3 more, another trilogy in the works. We have 3 more.
All with
we have
Netflix?
people writing them, but I'm not allowed to talk about it yet.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, for Netflix.
I know nothing. Nobody listens to our show,
no
so
one
it's
listens.
secret safe with
no
us.
No one will know.
That's
fantastic.
fantastic.
We have 3 more in the works.
Isn't it insane that there's still so much interest, and it's not just the fan base that started with you. They're still here, but then their children came into it, and new generations keep finding your stuff, and it just keeps perpetual motion.
It's amazing. But I'm, the older audience, I'm nostalgia to them.
Yeah.
Right? I'm nostalgia. That took a while to get used to.
Not necessarily.
That was hard to get
I know
used
people
to.
who saved their books and still have their books and pass them along.
No,
to
the
their,
reason
to their kids.
the reason the Goosebumps movie did so well, when Jack Black playing me, that movie,
right,
is that parents came for nostalgia and they brought their kids, and so we had 2 different audience streams for the movies. It's really what a lucky thing.
Yeah. You got more coming, so again, this is never ending for you.
This is,
here's another question for you. Back in your days of humor writing and of course kid stuff, what was it like being part of Eureka's Castle?
No, that's my whole TV career.
Yeah.
Being head writer of that show. We had a lot of fun. All the puppets, all the puppeteers had been trained by Jim Henson, and they were really good. And it was a very interesting experience for me because I would write a script and everyone would sit around a table and tear my script apart. And then I'd go home and write a new version of the script. And then we'd go in front of the cameras and the puppets would come up and they'd say whatever they wanted. They did whatever they wanted.
Yeah.
And luckily they were really good and I could take credit for it.
Well, one, they should if they were part of... what was Henson's company? Was it Children's Television Workshop? Or?
No, it was Nickelodeon.
Oh, it was regular. No, I mean the Henson people they were training with. Was it the Children's Television Workshop, or was it the Henson's Creature Shop kind of thing?
I think Henson Creature
Shop. Okay,
yeah. They were all really talented.
See, you did one better, and that shows that you're a great writer. You went back and redid the script and brought it in. I would have just printed out the script again and handed it in and said, here you go, I made changes. And since they didn't really check out the first copy, they wouldn't have known the second time around.
I couldn't get away with that. I couldn't get away.
Well, nowadays...
That was fun. That was, we shot 100 episodes. I was the first editor of Nickelodeon magazine.
Really?
Yeah. I did. I was a magazine person.
Did you ever get slimed?
Never did.
No?
I got a pie in the face.
All right.
But I never got slimed.
No? Never showed up at the Nickelodeon's Kids Awards to get slimed?
No. I showed up at the... one year, I was author of the year on the Kids' Choice Awards. And I was really... It was a thrill because 50 million kids had voted.
Yeah.
And I was, chosen. And
what
I
was
called
the prize
my
they
nephew.
give you? Was it the blimp or was it the surfboard?
Blimp, orange
the blimp. Okay.
I called my nephew Sam. He was 9. He was a Nickelodeon freak. He loved Nickelodeon. And I said, Sam, how would you like to go to L.A. with me and go to the Nickelodeon Awards? And he said, oh, no. If I knew you were going, I would have voted for you.
Well, that's family, isn't it?
He voted for Shel Silverstein.
Family's always the ones that are the least impressed by your success and everything.
Nothing.
It's like my brother's a jerk. I don't care how many people like him, and he's Dwayne the Rock Johnson, the biggest star on the planet, and there's always somebody that's going to think, I knew him when he's not what you think he is. So let's fix this here. You still have time, Nickelodeon people out there. Let's get a Lifetime Achievement Award for Mr. Stine here. Well, get him back on the Nickelodeon's Kids' Choice Awards. This man needs to be slimed. That's the last thing he needs in his career. He needs to be slimed. Yes, you do.
No, I'll tell you what what really happened. I won 3 years in a row. I won 3 orange blimps.
Right.
And the rule was if you won 4 blimps, you'd get a platinum blimp. So I won 3 in a row, and the next year Harry Potter came out.
Oh, man.
That was it for me.
You're not going to top that.
No, that was it.
Especially at the very
I was
crest
done.
of when it's about to,
Yeah.
Well, this time we're running out of time here with you. You've got a busy day here at New York Comic Con. I got to say, thank you so much for taking your time to speak with me. It is a real honor. Somebody who grew up on your books, and it's just an honor to meet you here. So,
Eric, thank you very much. I really enjoyed talking with you. Stay scary.
I will.
Comic-Con.
Thank you, Mr. Stine, for your time and for hanging out. Couldn't have been nicer. Fantastic human being. It was really an honor to sit and talk with him.
Yeah,
nonetheless,
nice
get
guy.
a photo with him.
I know. Very jealous of that. It's was a kind of cool note, like understanding that he started in comedy, went to fear, and he's right about how it just is so interconnected. The feeling of being scared and fear, and then laughter and comedy. So it's like he's got it. And I like it. It's cool.
Yeah, I always tell that story about me seeing Titanic, and it was one of the most horrific scenes in the movie. And there's me in the theater laughing at this. Yeah, that was one of the funnier scenes in Titanic for me. Anyway, so before we go, I want to talk about one last thing that I started to notice, or 2 things that I started to notice throughout the days at Comic-Con. One is that everybody is walking around with their phone on a tripod thing and live streaming as they go, because they all feel that they're so important, and they're setting up a tripod and they're talking about things, they're posing, doing all this shit while they're live streaming. I don't know where they're live streaming to. In fact, I'm not going to bring it up here, but I sent you a photo. I snuck a photo over my shoulder, and I said, this girl was everywhere I turned around. This girl was there with her long, thin tripod and holding her phone, live streaming, talking. She was holding it going up an escalator while she was talking to them. I want to say maybe Indian girl, Pakistani girl, something like that. Beautiful girl, dressed up as the Suicide Squad Harley Quinn.
Right.
And it just happened everywhere I went. I would be doing something. I turn around, and then as I'm walking another way, there she is again. Like she was just in almost the same pattern, not doing the same things I was doing, but close enough. So everywhere I turn, I'm like, there she is again. It's like the kid on the escalator at Mallrats. So that was one thing I noticed. People walking around with their phones, live streaming everything. 2, this gag going on, people who had elaborate costumes that had helmets, right? So whenever they would stop and take their helmet off, maybe they're Kylo Ren, maybe they're a stormtrooper, maybe they're Magneto. I saw one person had the triangle. There's always somebody that's triangle head from Silent Hill. Yeah. There had the triangle head thing off to the side. This one time I'm walking past through the crowd, I hear the commotion before I get to it, but I'm hearing what is being said. And this guy's going, God damn it. He goes, every time I pause to to talk to people, take a photo, take a breather, take the helmet off, people are walking by and putting candy in my helmet. And I'm walking past it. I didn't stop. I should have stopped to talk to him, but I'm walking past. I'm just trying to remember this and grab my phone to write it down. I go, that can't be a thing. And and as I'm walking away, I still hear him. And he's like, every time. He's like, I could be standing here for a couple minutes. Somebody comes by and puts something in my helmet. It's like, a lot of cosplayers have business cards or postcards with QR things. They're dropping that in there. Free tchotchkes, but he said candy in there.
That's so funny.
So I'm walking around, and then I'm heading towards the other end of the floor, and I hear somebody else talking about that. Not as passionate as the first guy was. And the girl goes, oh, yeah. She goes, every time I put my helmet down or something like that, I come back, there's all this stuff in it. I'm like, all right, that's two separate instances. So I send a message to Jordan. I go, we could make a note on our sheet, please, for this. I was like, people are taking off their helmets and people are just walking by and dropping shit into their helmets all the time. And you told me this is a thing.
It's so
it's a
funny.
real thing. It's not just stuff people are doing as for fun. People do this now.
It's the equivalent of like someone sitting there on the street drinking a cup of coffee and they set it down and then you immediately think they're homeless, so you toss some coins in there. Like this is what they're doing to people at these cons, and it's such a fun bit because you could almost throw anything in there, really.
Yeah,
but the fact that they're throwing candy, like that means everyone's got like candy on hand, which would make sense. It's a con, you want to bring snacks or whatever, but that is great.
Yeah, so that was funny. I now need to remember to bring candy like it's trick-or-treating and just dump it into people's helmets when they're not looking.
That's when you bring a bunch of like It's Eric Nagel stickers. You just like toss stickers into their stuff and then you're just advertising people's helmets.
I bring a bunch of those tagine candies that I don't like or a handful of pennies.
You know what the funny thing is? I went looking for those today.
You did?
I did. I was going to eat them on the show next time. Just make you mad at me.
At Target, you can find them. All right. Thank you, everybody. It's been another fun year at New York Comic Con. Oh, we had 2 interviews that we were supposed to do, and we didn't get to do them. One, we were supposed to speak to Charlemagne the God, who is the head morning host of the Breakfast Club for iHeartRadio, syndicated all around the country, out of Power 105 here in New York City. Mm-hmm. He just recently had an interview with Kamala Harris or Kamala, sorry. I get yelled at for saying it wrong. Kamala Harris in Detroit. They did a big town hall thing that was broadcast on the radio. And then he has a graphic novel that he's putting out that's mixing horror and hip hop together and all that in the comic form. So I was like, yeah, I'd love to talk to him. He's one of those guys that has like 19 people around him and nobody can get their shit together and get everything straight. So I started getting a communication like late Thursday night. It was almost Friday midnight. That's like, hey, yeah, I'm adding 9 other people to the mail here who should be able to help you out. And then other people said, yeah, and I'm adding 4 more people, this lady. And then Friday morning, I'm like, what's going on here? Nobody's saying anything. Nothing. So around 1:00, I said, all right, well, since nobody can get their stuff together here, I was very polite about it, but I was stern. Right. I said, get together. I said, I guess we will have to pass on this opportunity. And one lady wrote me back half an hour later and she goes, we have you on the press list for this time at this thing. I go, yeah, but I'm not there anymore. I left. I wasn't hanging around because the press thing was another 3 hours from when I wrote.
Right.
And nobody confirmed anything. I wasn't going to sit there for 3 hours hoping that maybe they would say yes for this thing when I was asked if I wanted to do it in the first place. So I said, well, unfortunately, the fact that communication was so poor and nobody could organize this, we already left. Thank you for the opportunity. I was very polite. I didn't say fuck off or any of that stuff. So I would love to talk to Charlemagne. I've seen him, once in a while around iHeart, but I just didn't happen. So maybe another time we can set something up and talk to him. There was that. And then there was this Fox animated show, The Grumblings, I think it's called. Something like that.
I've kind of heard about it in passing, but I've never really.
But we had opportunities. Again, they didn't tell me till Saturday night and I wasn't coming back in Sunday. John Hamm, Andy Tudyk, and a few other people who I'm spacing on the names, and I apologize. It's not meant to be insulting. I'm just not remembering. I love John Hamm. I would have killed to see John Hamm, but there was no way I could go back in after 3 days to see John Hamm. So,
and that was a tough one because you had mentioned it to me, and I was like, "Well, I guess you're just gonna have to suck it up and go in." And you're like, "Or I don't go in."
No, I hadn't seen the kid much in 3 days, and Sunday was going to be my catch-up day and all that, so I wasn't doing catsup. So yeah, that unfortunately didn't happen. But the universe works in weird ways, and we'll find our way around him again to make that happen. And then we said hi to the Deadpool Corps that showed up on the end of Saturday. They were touring around Manhattan promoting the physical media release of Deadpool Wolverine. They were stopping at strategic places around Midtown and then ending with the bus showing up at Comic-Con at Javits Center. And I got to go over there and check out the nonsense. There was like 25 of them, all the different variations from the movie.
That's all
cool. Dressed up there as Deadpool variants. And that was a lot of fun to see. So that's it for New York Comic Con. Oh, and our pal Spitfire Labs. I'm remembering everything now as we get out of here. Spitfire Labs, spitfirelabs.nyc. Go and look at them. They have awesome stuff. We've talked about their stuff before. Do I have it nearby? I don't.
I was going to say mine. If I would have known we were going to bring it up, I would have brought mine. I do.
Yeah, but they do
a couple pieces from them as well.
Insane laser etching woodwork.
Super cool. Real nerdy, real cool stuff.
Real nerdy, real good stuff. They have one of their most popular lines are wooden VHS tapes right now, and they just put out Nightmare Before Christmas, Hocus Pocus, and something else. I have a Spaceballs one over there.
I've got Spaceballs, and then what do I have? The NES controller of Zelda, the small one.
That I have. I can show you that. That I have. Look at that.
I don't have the stand, so I might go on their site. You can order those separately. But
Look at the detail. Part of the dungeons are in the controller.
Super cool. I was going to say, it should have some stuff on the back, too. Yeah, look at that.
Look at the dungeon map on the back.
They're gorgeous. And that's just the controller. They have a bigger map version of the overworld of The Legend of Zelda that you have
that over there
that I'm upset about. And it's super cool. Like, they do some quality work. So
yeah, I have all there. Please check out our friends at spitfirelabs.nyc. Tell them Eric Nagel sent you. And they won't give you a discount, but they will say, oh, that's very nice for him to recommend us. We appreciate it. I'm good friends with them. So check them out. And, of course, our pal Big Kev with Geek Stuff TNG. You can check out his podcast, Geek Stuff TNG, wherever you find podcasts. All right, now we are done. Now we need to get out of here. Where's the music? There's the music. It's time to do the plugs. Jordan, for everybody to contact you, where do they go?
You can go on Twitter or Instagram at Jinxed Ronan. Come check me out on Twitch, JinxedRonan79. I've been playing some video games lately. I got the new Black Ops 6. We're going to play some more stuff. Get that going. If you guys want to head over, if you're a Twitch subscriber and you're an Amazon subscriber, make sure you're using that free subscription and doing It's Eric Nagel. Look us up, get us subscribed. And then
your Prime account.
Yeah, get your Prime account. You get a free subscription to Twitch every month. You got to manually go in there and do it, so don't let it lapse. Go in there and subscribe for free. It costs you nothing, gives us everything. So make sure you can do that. And then if you want to throw a couple bucks here and there on our live shows, come say hi. Pay me. I need the money.
Hi, pay me. It's your Goodfellas moment. Fuck you, pay me. For me and the show, it's Eric Nagel across the board on all the social medias. Our live rooms every time we do the show, usually Thursday nights on YouTube and on Twitch, all under the moniker It's Eric Nagel. And if you're listening to the show, you can do so on the iHeartRadio app, Apple, Spotify, any other place that you could get your podcast and on-demand content. And do us a kindness, go over there, leave us a positive review. It does help out the program. Thank you very much for joining us for the New York Comic Con show. And until the next time, everybody,
be excellent to each other.
And we'll be seeing you.
It's Eric Nagel.
What are you guys doing here?
Well, we just come here as a gag. Dress up like we're into this shit and fuck with the nerds.
Alas, we're out of time.
Follow It's Eric Nagel on social media platforms. For ways to watch and listen to the show, or join us for the live shows, head over to itsericnagel.com. Yo, and remember to tell two friends so they can tell two friends, and they can tell two friends, they can tell two friends, they can tell two friends. You get the idea.
Keep it real, homies.